Well, Kevin Durant has been making news headlines as of late. From his priceless response to Joel Embiid dropping 70 recently.
70?
Yeah, Joel has 70 today.
Which, of course, came on the same night as Karl Anthony Towns pouring in a career high and franchise record 62 points on the same night.
I seen Cat have 40 a half. I mean, the skill level in this league is insane. I mean, this is the peak of basketball in my opinion. You're seeing it with guys doing.
Peak of basketball. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns' own coach, Chris Finch, had another theory about the kind of basketball being played these days.
It was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball.
But Durant kept putting up headlines while doing what he has done best throughout the vast majority of his career, putting up buckets, which included this insane game winner against the Chicago Bulls recently. And there is no denying Durant is having an incredible season in this, his 16th season, aged 35 years. As Durant is posting the fourth highest point per game total of his entire career at 29.1 points per game, along with 5.7 assists, third highest of his career, and 6.4 rebounds. And his shooting has been as ridiculous and efficient as it has always been throughout his career, with KD posting shooting splits at the midpoint of this NBA season of 53% from the field, 46% from three, and 87% from the free throw line. And throughout his career, KD has said some really smart things.
It is MJ, Kobe, easy Kobe.
Easy, number 2 ever.
Exactly.
I don't even want to say number 2. It's like they just up here with
man, bro.
Some really funny things.
Damn. Hey, I feel you, though. It's all good.
And this week, he said a really crazy thing. In talking with reporters, KD was asked why he isn't generally mentioned in the GOAT conversation, to which his answer was, "Why shouldn't I be in that? That's the question you should ask. Why not? What haven't I done?" Okay, KD, you win. Let's ask the question, why not, and what you haven't done. But for starters, Durant's statistical accomplishments actually are as impressive as any player that has ever existed in NBA history. Or at least they likely will be by the time he retires, as Durant is currently sitting at 10th on the all-time scoring list, while no other active player is even in the top 20 aside from the all-time points leader at the moment, LeBron James. And Durant currently has 27,968 career points halfway through this season. With Durant posting near career numbers this year, there is no reason to think he will walk away anytime soon. Even just assuming 3 more seasons at a similar rate of scoring he has displayed the last 3 years should land him somewhere around 6th on the all-time list, which is currently Dirk Nowitzki, and it will give Durant an outside chance still of passing the 5th player on that list, which is Michael Jordan, and even potentially getting to number 4, which at the moment is Kobe Bryant. Obviously very impressive company. And his career stat line does closely mirror the alleged self-proclaimed GOAT himself, LeBron James, as James' current career averages of 27.1 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.3 assists on a true shooting percentage of 58.8% are very similar to Durant's, with KD posting a career line of 27.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.3 assists on an even more efficient 62% true shooting percentage. While KD has also led the league in scoring 4 times, 4 of which were in a 5-year span in his early 20s. And the 4 scoring crowns are as many as Allen Iverson and George Gervin, while it is more than any other player in league history aside from only Michael Jordan's 10 and Wilt Chamberlain's 7. That's what Durant has done. And if we are talking purely stats, as most in the mass media and delusional teenagers on social are these days, Durant raises a pretty fair question actually. But it is pretty damn obvious what he hasn't done for anyone with an actual brain. while KD has been good in the playoffs, amassing a 101-65 record. The 101 wins, by the way, just below Dwayne Wade's 105 and above Larry Bird's 99. And this is while his postseason win percentage of 60.8% is higher than other players like Shaquille O'Neal and Tony Parker. And this is all while posting a very impressive line of 29.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists per game for his career in the postseason. But Durant has not been very successful when it mattered most, as KD is still searching for just his 3rd ring in a career that has now spanned 16 playing years and counting. And his relative lack of success isn't for the lack of talent he has played with throughout his career, as following the Phoenix Suns' acquisition of Bradley Beal in the summer, Durant finds himself playing now for his 3rd career super team, a number that rivals even the king of super teams himself. And despite becoming one of, if not, the best individual players in the world, winning league MVP in the 2014 NBA season, while playing alongside 2 other eventual league MVPs in Russell Westbrook and James Harden, Durant would manage to make just 1 finals appearance throughout his entire underwhelming 9-year tenure with the Thunder franchise. He would put a resounding exclamation mark on his 9 years of failures there in the 2016 playoffs, which would ultimately end up being his last with Oklahoma City. In those playoffs, the Thunder would collide with the greatest regular season team ever, the 73-9 Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. KD and the Thunder were destroying Golden State, winning Game 3 by 28 points and Game 4 by 24 points to take a decisive 3-1 series lead. But in quintessential Kevin Durant fashion, he would then play a pivotal role in perpetrating the massive choke job that would ensue, as in Game 6 at home, with a chance to close the series out and advance to the finals, the Thunder had an 8-point lead at the end of the 3rd quarter. Durant would score just 4 points on 1 of 7 shooting in that 4th quarter, and the Thunder would ultimately be pushed to a Game 7 at the Oracle. In his defense, though, it was likely difficult to make jumpers in that 4th with a big dump in his pants.
It's a complete crap.
Not to worry, there was still a Game 7 to be played for Durant to redeem himself in. But that didn't happen either. The Thunder did take a 6-point lead into the locker room at halftime, but got dusted in the 3rd quarter 29-12. During the quarter, Durant was just 2 of 5 from the field for 6 points. Ultimately, his and Oklahoma City's vomit session in the West Finals opened the door for the Warriors to up the choking ante in the NBA Finals and perpetrate arguably the biggest pants-crapping moment in pro basketball history.
Diddly poo.
Becoming the first and still only team in NBA Finals history to blow their own 3-1 lead. And just 10 days after that Game 7 in the NBA Finals, Durant was hosting a couple teams in his Hamptons compound for a little free agency courtship shindig, where he decided to stab his team in the back. And that, of course, was when Steph Curry and half of his Warriors team boarded a private jet to fly across the country and beg KD to join up, though I'm certain it didn't take that much convincing. And taking his cue from, at the time, the 2-time super team building king of the era, why not? Less than 1 week after that little rendezvous in the Hamptons on July 7th, Durant officially signed on the line that was dotted.
Sign on the line which is dotted.
With the Golden State Warriors. And in arguably the most gutless and cowardly move in NBA history, the competitive balance of the NBA was completely destroyed for years, as LeBron's super team in the East and KD's super team in the West ruled supreme, with no other team having a remote shot. In all, those two franchises would meet in 4 consecutive NBA Finals. But at least unlike you-know-who choked in epic fashion with his freshly constructed super team, Durant actually delivered on the hype of his unbeatable juggernaut, easily winning the championship every season he was on the court with the Warriors, while winning the Finals MVP both years and destroying LeBron head-to-head when it mattered most, particularly in 2017, when Durant averaged a preposterous 35 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists on an even more preposterous 56, 47, and 93 shooting splits head-to-head against Bron in the finals. And despite LeBron's teammate Kyrie Irving outshooting and outscoring Steph Curry at every level for a second consecutive NBA Finals series, the difference in this one came down to Durant and LeBron. Despite LeBron filling up the stat sheet, as he usually does, the proof was in the fourth quarters, as it typically is. And the Cavaliers led at the end of 3 quarters in games 3, 4, and were only down by 4 points at the end of the third quarter in game 5. Cleveland, though, would lose 2 of those 3 games on the way to a gentleman's sweep of 4-1. And while LeBron actually was quite good in the fourth quarters of this final series, for a change, he got absolutely schooled and dominated by KD. For the series, LeBron averaged 5.6 points per fourth quarter on 46% shooting, while Durant averaged 9.2 points in the final frame on 63% from the field. Durant's offensive rating in this series of 139 is higher than any of the 10 NBA Finals series of LeBron's entire career. Unfortunately for KD, these are the only 2 titles of his entire career. A mere 2 titles on an impossibly loaded super team. While this doesn't differ from the tactics LeBron himself has deployed in winning his titles, LeBron has just ultimately been more successful in his super team building than Durant has been in his, yielding more net garbage titles for LeBron than Durant. But what Durant is questioning is why him going to Golden State in the first place invalidates his accomplishments, but LeBron is not held to these same standards. And amid the vast landscape of all-time great players throughout the history of professional basketball, with varying degrees of cases to their own individual claim on the mantle of greatest player of all time, all of which won the right way, this is a fair question. So while Durant's logic is sound in asking the why, it's not the proper question he is asking. The question isn't why KD is not included in the GOAT conversation. It's why is LeBron? Ultimately, neither of them should be, because the mounting fake news narratives swirling around these days might ultimately be able to erase the context of how these guys won their titles. But anyone that was really watching at the time will never be able to take those championships very seriously. Not all winning is created equal, and that is the thing that will always keep both of those guys out of any real conversations.